In 1918, entire American cities tried sealing themselves off from the Spanish flu, and yet the death toll still reached over 50 million. One chilling truth remains: fear spreads faster than infection. Today we ask, if a zombie outbreak struck, could quarantine actually stop it, or would human panic doom us from the start? And when you hear what real governments secretly planned for scenarios like this, you won't believe it. Quick question for you. If your city was suddenly locked down tomorrow, would you stay put or risk breaking out? Drop your answer in the comments. By the end of this video, you'll see why that single choice could mean survival or disaster. At first glance, quarantine looks like humanity's best defense. Isolate the sick, seal the borders, and stop the spread before it snowballs. It feels simple, because for centuries it worked against outbreaks like the Black Death, smallpox, and cholera. Entire villages in Europe once cut themselves off for months, believing sacrifice could save their neighbors. The logic seems airtight: contain one spark before it ignites the forest. But modern reality complicates the picture. Unlike medieval plagues, a zombie infection wouldn't simmer quietly. It would explode violently in hours, not months. And unlike past centuries, people today move faster, farther, and in numbers that make sealing borders a logistical nightmare. That's the hidden danger. Speed changes everything. Quarantine buys time, but only if it's airtight from day one, and history shows we almost never move that fast. Let's rewind to 1918, when the Spanish flu swept across the world. Some cities, like St. Louis, slammed the brakes early, closing schools, banning gatherings, and enforcing quarantines. Others, like Philadelphia, hesitated, holding a massive parade just as the virus arrived. The result? Philadelphia's death toll skyrocketed, while St. Louis fared far better. The lesson is haunting. Timing isn't just important, it's everything. But even in St. Louis, with fast action and compliance, the virus still slipped through. Why? Because no quarantine holds perfectly. Supplies must move, workers must enter, mistakes always happen. And once the disease breached the walls, the city fell just like the rest. This single story hides a modern warning. In a zombie outbreak, hesitation would be fatal, but even decisive action might only delay the inevitable. Every quarantine in history has faced the same problem. People don't like being trapped. The moment fear outweighs trust in authority, compliance cracks. During SARS in 2003, entire apartment buildings in Hong Kong were sealed, yet some residents still broke out, slipping past guards to flee the city. In a zombie outbreak, panic would amplify tenfold. Families would fight to escape sealed zones, convinced survival meant moving, not staying put, and the first few who run almost always drag infection with them. Governments know this, which is why martial law often follows quarantine, but force only fuels resentment. When fear and anger collide, the system fractures. That's why the real danger isn't the infected at the gates. It's the healthy who no longer believe that staying inside keeps them safe. Disasters follow a brutal clock. Within 24 hours of lockdown, stores run out of essentials: water, medicine, food. By 48 hours, rumors spread faster than official updates. By 72 hours, panic shifts to violence. Looting erupts, and the idea of community survival shatters into individual desperation. Studies of hurricane aftermaths show how quickly cooperation erodes when supplies dwindle. In a zombie outbreak, that timeline would be even sharper, because every empty shelf or blocked road would feel like a death sentence. Quarantine buys no stability without trust, and once riots start, soldiers face two enemies: the undead outside and the mobs inside. 3 days is all it takes for order to fall apart. That's the pattern history keeps repeating. When civil order breaks, governments call in the military. At first glance, it looks like strength: soldiers with rifles, checkpoints on highways, armored vehicles blocking escape routes. But history shows mixed results. In 2014, Liberia deployed troops to lock down West Point, a slum hit by Ebola. Instead of peace, riots broke out. Soldiers fired on civilians, and containment failed within days. In a zombie outbreak, the military might enforce stricter measures, but soldiers are human too. Fear spreads through ranks, morale cracks, and some abandon posts to protect their families. That's the hidden flaw. The army can suppress mobs, but it can't suppress survival instincts. And every violent clash creates more distrust, more chaos, and more leaks. What begins as order ends as open rebellion. Modern pandemics prove one thing: by the time borders close, it's already too late. During COVID-19, the virus circled the globe before most nations even recognized the threat. Airplanes move faster than governments. In a zombie outbreak, the same would happen. One infected traveler could ignite an outbreak in a new city before the first quarantine was even declared. Airports would scramble to shut down, but chaos at terminals would turn into its own disaster. Tens of thousands of stranded passengers, some infected, some not, all trapped together. Land borders wouldn't fare better. Smugglers, refugees, and sheer desperation would keep people moving. Borders are political lines on maps, not physical walls strong enough to stop panic. Once infection slips onto a plane, no quarantine is truly local anymore. Movies love to focus on a single patient zero, a famille, the one unlucky soul who starts it all. Reality is far messier. Outbreaks often ignite in multiple places at once, especially when travel is constant. During the 2009 swine flu, the virus didn't flow in a single line. It appeared in Mexico, the US, and Asia almost simultaneously. In a zombie outbreak, the same pattern would surface. While one city scrambled to isolate its first case, another country could already be burning quietly, undetected. This shatters the idea that quarantine can simply seal off the source. By the time one region enforces its lockdown, the spark has already leapt continents. The result isn't a fire contained. It's a wildfire flaring up in hidden corners. In every outbreak, fear is contagious. Today, social media accelerates it at lightning speed. One shaky video of zombies breaking through barricades, uploaded in real time, could trigger mass panic before governments even confirm the outbreak. During COVID-19, false rumors about miracle cures, secret leaks, or hidden infection zones spread faster than official updates. In a zombie outbreak, misinformation would be deadlier than the virus itself. Imagine millions fleeing cities because of a viral clip, clogging highways, overwhelming rural towns, and dragging infection with them. Panic wouldn't just be local, it would be global, amplified by every smartphone. And unlike the infection, which can be quarantined, information never can. Once fear goes viral, containment is impossible. No wall is ever airtight, not against desperation and not against greed. During the plague years, smugglers ferried goods into sealed cities, carrying infection with them. In modern times, black markets flourish the moment restrictions tighten. Fuel, medicine, food, someone always sees profit in scarcity. In a zombie outbreak, smugglers would be more dangerous than the infected, slipping through barricades under the cover of night, dragging contamination across borders. And they wouldn't just carry goods, they'd carry people. Families paying fortunes to escape, unknowingly bringing the outbreak wherever they land. It's the oldest rule of quarantine. Someone will always find a way out. And once that leak begins, no barricade can hold back the flood. Imagine life trapped inside a sealed city. Supplies dwindling, soldiers patrolling, trust eroding with each passing day. People adapt at first, rationing food, clinging to order, but pressure mounts quickly. Families grow desperate, neighbors turn suspicious, and violence brews in silence. During the 2014 Ebola lockdown in Sierra Leone, entire towns were sealed for weeks. Even with support, resentment grew fierce and compliance fell apart. Now amplify that with zombies. Every siren, every gunshot, every rumor of infection inside the zone would fuel paranoia. Communities fracture, and the infected become only half the story. The rest is hunger, fear, and mistrust. Containment might hold physically, but socially it collapses long before the fences do. If life inside a sealed zone collapses into fear, life outside is no safer. Refugees flood checkpoints, desperate to escape infection, or just the rumor of it. Camps spring up at borders, overcrowded, undersupplied, and volatile. History shows what follows. Riots, disease, and violence born of desperation. During the Balkan Wars, refugee camps meant to be safe havens often became hotbeds of crime and suffering. In a zombie outbreak, these camps would be tinderboxes. One infected person slipping in could turn thousands into chaos overnight, and the harder authorities crack down, the more resentment boils over. Containment doesn't just create pressure inside the fence, it breeds instability in the shadow it casts outside. The Ebola outbreak of 2014 offers a chilling rehearsal. Villages in Sierra Leone and Liberia were sealed off, guarded by soldiers. At first, compliance held, but soon anger erupted. People didn't trust officials, accusing them of lies and cover-ups. Armed clashes followed, and some communities attacked health workers outright. Containment measures slowed the spread but never fully stopped it. Instead, they deepened mistrust. In a zombie outbreak, the same pattern would repeat, only faster and bloodier. Communities would see quarantine not as protection, but as a death sentence imposed from outside. And once that perception sets in, resistance becomes inevitable. The lesson from Ebola is sobering. Containment can work briefly, but when fear and anger rise, it often collapses from the inside. When disaster strikes, governments rarely sound the alarm immediately. Political leaders fear panic, economic collapse, and public outrage. In 2003, Chinese officials delayed reporting the SARS outbreak for weeks, allowing it to spread unchecked. In a zombie outbreak, that instinct to conceal would be even deadlier. Leaders might claim everything is under control, while infections multiply behind the scenes. By the time official quarantines are announced, it's already too late. Every lost day means thousands more exposed, and every denial erodes public trust. The irony is brutal. The very effort to avoid panic ensures a far greater one when the truth breaks loose. In real epidemics, speed determines survival. Diseases with long incubation periods, like HIV, spread silently, giving health systems time to adapt. But diseases that strike fast, like cholera or Ebola, overwhelm defenses before they can even mobilize. A zombie infection, by definition, spreads violently and almost instantly. That speed shreds the very foundation of quarantine. Soldiers can block roads, governments can seal borders, but if infection turns one victim into dozens within hours, containment measures lag behind. Imagine COVID-19 compressed into a single day. That's the scale of chaos a zombie outbreak would unleash. Quarantine might slow the wave briefly, but it can't outrun exponential growth. Outbreaks don't stay isolated. When one city collapses, the shockwaves ripple outward. Refugees pour into neighboring towns, carrying infection with them. Supply chains fracture, leaving distant cities suddenly without food, fuel, or medicine. This domino effect has played out before. During the 1918 Spanish flu, rail networks carried the virus from one hotspot to dozens of others in days. In a zombie outbreak, the collapse of one hub city, New York, Tokyo, or London, would ripple instantly through trade and travel. And once surrounding cities see that fall, panic spreads faster than infection. People flee preemptively, sparking chaos in areas not yet touched. Containment doesn't break cleanly, it unravels in cascading shocks. At the heart of every quarantine lies a brutal choice. Trust the system or trust yourself. It's the classic prisoner's dilemma. If everyone cooperates, survival chances rise. But the moment one person defects, the system weakens, and fear makes defection inevitable. During Hurricane Katrina, communities were urged to stay calm and wait for relief. Yet many looted or fled, believing they couldn't count on help. In a zombie outbreak, the stakes sharpen. Stay in the quarantine zone and risk infection, or flee and risk spreading it. Most will choose themselves. And when enough people do, the collective collapses. Trust may save lives, but panic rewrites the rules. In every crisis, wealth buys options. During COVID-19, private jets saw record use as elites fled crowded cities for isolated estates and island hideouts. In a zombie outbreak, that escape hatch would widen. Billionaires could vanish overnight, airlifting families to fortified compounds, leaving the rest behind. The danger isn't just inequality, it's secrecy. Ordinary people would see elites moving quietly, and rumors would explode. If they're fleeing, we must be doomed. That perception alone, Gitzland could ignite riots. The irony is sharp. When the rich run, the poor panic. And panic spreads infection faster than teeth ever could. Imagine the checkpoint at a sealed city. Families pleading, children crying, soldiers ordered not to let anyone through. Tension builds, then shatters with a gunshot. History is filled with these moments. Ukraine in 1918, Liberia in 2014, when armed forces clashed with civilians in the name of containment. But soldiers are not immune to fear. Some defect, others crack, a few enforce brutally. Each choice fuels mistrust. Civilians see soldiers as oppressors, not protectors. Soldiers see civilians as threats, not neighbors. And every clash drains precious resources that should be aimed at the infected, not each other. The fence doesn't break from zombies, it breaks from within. If you've made it this far, you're clearly hooked by the what-ifs. Hit subscribe now, because in upcoming videos, we'll explore survival strategies inside failed quarantine zones, including how to outlast chaos when the system itself breaks down. History shows it again and again. Panic kills more than pathogens. In India, during the plague of 1896, mass flight from cities spread disease faster than the rats carrying it. In 2009 swine flu outbreak, overwhelmed hospitals turned away patients who weren't infected, leading to unnecessary deaths from other causes. In a zombie outbreak, fear becomes its own epidemic. People stampede evacuation routes, crush crowds at barricades, and ignite fires in protests. Fear-driven violence leaves more bodies on the ground than the infected ever could. The tragic irony? In trying to save themselves, people trigger the very collapse they fear. Pandemics demand cooperation, but nations rarely agree when panic is at the gates. During COVID-19, countries hoarded masks, blocked exports, and blamed each other while the virus spread unchecked. A zombie outbreak would magnify this chaos. Some nations would seal borders, others would deny infection altogether. Alliances would fracture as leaders scrambled to protect their own people first. And without unity, quarantines crumble. A virus doesn't respect borders, but fear, secrecy, and political rivalry ensure those borders stay weak. The dream of coordinated global containment would collapse into finger-pointing and isolation. If quarantine collapses on continents, what about islands? History suggests isolation can be a powerful shield. During the 1918 Spanish flu, American Samoa imposed strict maritime quarantine and avoided mass casualties, while Western Samoa, just a short distance away, was devastated. In a zombie outbreak, nations like Iceland, New Zealand, or remote Pacific islands might stand a better chance. Their borders are oceans, their populations smaller, their defenses easier to seal, but the trade-off is brutal. Cutting off entirely means losing global supply chains. Fuel, medicine, and food shortages would hit fast. Survival would come at the cost of near-total isolation. It's possible, but only for those prepared to shut the world out. Here's the hardest truth. Every historical quarantine bought time, but few stopped the inevitable. The Spanish flu still killed millions. Ebola still spread despite lockdowns. COVID-19 still circled the globe. With zombies, the stakes are higher, the infection faster, the chaos deeper. Quarantine might delay collapse, but at unimaginable human cost. Families torn apart, violence at barricades, and trust in government shattered. So we're left with the question no leader wants to face. Is a doomed quarantine worth attempting, or would humanity survive better by preparing for collapse instead of pretending to contain it? So, could quarantine stop a zombie outbreak? History whispers the answer, probably not. Quarantines slow the fire, but they don't put it out. Fear, secrecy, and human instinct crack the walls faster than infection itself. The lesson is clear. Humanity's greatest enemy in a crisis isn't always the disease, it's us. Yet even in that chaos, there's one truth worth holding on to. Every extra hour bought by containment could mean a few more lives saved, a few more chances to fight back. And in survival, sometimes an hour is everything. Next up, we'll explore the 3 cities most likely to survive a real zombie outbreak, and why one of them is the last place you'd expect.